So this is what our new home looks like now. Although if you've driven by recently, you'll notice there's a lot of construction going on. Denver Housing Authority, the owner of the site, started construction in June. So they spent a couple months now bringing the building a little closer to its eventual shape, shown here. To get from there to there, costs all told of almost $3.3 million. This is a very expensive undertaking. The building was in pretty bad shape. It takes a lot of structural work, in addition to obviously the rehabilitation that DHA is undertaking. That budget, $3.3 million, we think is pretty close to the kitchen sink budget. It includes furniture and equipment and technology, not just the walls and windows and floorboards that the building needs. So to raise that much money, we persuaded Denver Housing Authority to take out a loan for about half the amount. Our rent pays back that loan. The debt service on the loan is where the $10 a square foot we end up paying DHA goes to. And that was no small feat. DHA was resistant, I think, originally to taking out a loan of that size. We persuaded them that we need it and to amortize it over a long period of time and keep the rent increase for all of us as low as possible. So we think we're still at a competitive market rate when it comes to the rent that all the tenants are going to pay. Denver Housing Authority is also responsible for contributing about $750,000 from its own funds and the fundraising efforts that it's undertaking to fix the core and shell. The structural parts of the building are the landlord's responsibility. Denver Urban Gardens, some of you met, I think, at the happy hour we did at Coffee at the Point a few weeks ago. They're taking on a pretty big chunk of change to rehabilitate their share of the building. They occupy one of the bays in the greenhouse and a farmer's market that goes with it, and a seed and transplant distribution center, and a commercial kitchen where they'll offer cooking classes, and a community garden across the street. So Doug, Denver Urban Gardens, is responsible for raising about $365,000. We've helped them with some of their applications, and I think they're about a third of the way there. That leaves about $500,000 for everybody else. The limited liability company that we formed to run this project about 4 months ago now has an obligation to contribute about $500,000, again, for the capital improvements, for the furniture, for the technology, for the equipment, for everything we need to move into this building next June. We've raised some of that money, but less than about $100,000, mostly because our partner, Engineers Without Borders, was willing to write a check for their share of the contribution. So if you see somebody from EWB, thank them, please, for contributing towards the renovation of their bay in the building. We just got word today that we received a grant from the El Pomar Foundation for about $15,000. We've gotten grants through Denver Urban Gardens from the Anschutz Foundation, the Gates Family Foundation. We have a significant grant request headed to the Betcher Foundation, which does a lot of capital improvements. And Anna Jeanette, who's here, has been taking the lead in the foundation applications. We have had less luck probably than we expected with local foundations, because it turns out they like mostly local causes. And as much as our project contributes to the revitalization of an impoverished neighborhood in Denver, the clientele we mostly serve is overseas, and that's not within the mission of the Denver Foundation or most of the other local folks we've approached. So we're hoping to beef up our share of the fundraising, and have been lucky enough to persuade IDE to share the proceeds of our annual